Hello Year 10, this is Miss Brooks. This should be hopefully a short screencast on how to organise your body paragraph. I apologise if it goes a little bit long, I'll try to keep it short. Anyway, how do I write a body paragraph in a comparative essay? The first thing that you need to know is what purpose does a body paragraph serve? A body paragraph goes within the body or the main part of your essay. You have your introduction, 3 paragraphs, and your conclusion, and we're going to talk about how to do the middle paragraphs here. It should focus on one main idea, which is identified in what's called your topic sentence, the very first sentence. This should be very much linked to the prompt that you have been given. So it should be an idea driven from your prompt. It should be structured in the teal format. Now we're obviously going to need some more ease, not just to evidence and explain, but it should be in that format. And it should be, in this case, around 200 words in length. Now, for some people that might be a bit tough. You just need to do your best, and your explain might not be as long as other people's. But as long as you've got each of those features, you'll be working your way towards improving your paragraphs. Now, don't be overwhelmed by the 200 words. Have a go. Take your time, and I'll have a little disclaimer at the end explaining that when I write mine, they're not perfect the first time. I have to edit them. Okay, so here's a sample prompt, and this is one you've worked on in class. If we stay together, we will die together. Compare and contrast the sacrifices characters are required to make in order to survive in both First They Killed My Father and Into the Wild. Now in class you would have talked about the fact that compare and contrast means not only what is similar, but what is different between the ways in which the sacrifices are made by these characters. And I'm going to go with the way that you've been talking about it in class, and that is looking at similarities and differences within one paragraph. You don't have to do it this way, and I'll show you a different way at the end, but for the meantime, I'm going to show you how to do both in the one paragraph. So you need to start with, of course, your topic sentence. So in this case, I'm going to talk about how they have to abandon their identities, but they're going to do that in different ways. So throughout both texts, the protagonists must abandon their identities in order to survive. What separates the two is the circumstances and environments within which their decisions were made. So I've said compare what's similar and what's different. So they both abandon their identities, but the way they do it is different, and that's how I'm going to contrast them. Then we need to introduce our first evidence and explain, and I'm going to go with First They Killed My Father. Lung's identity must be concealed under the rule of the Khmer Rouge, and Lung's identity must be concealed under the rule of the Khmer Rouge. The Ungs must assume life as a family of peasants. This is a necessary step if they are to survive the purges that take place in Cambodia during the 1970s. So that is linking to the idea of surviving, and family of peasants is them about their abandoning their identities. Now I need to connect it to Into the Wild. Likewise, so you will have a bank of these phrases in your folders given to you by the teachers. McCandless feels he too must discard his identity and assume the title of Alexander Supertramp if he is to truly escape the toxic materialism of his parents, people who he believes that should be are only concerned with things. So these two are very short quotes, but see how I've seamlessly fit them within my sentence? They work just as if they were my own words. And that's an important skill. Really short, sharp quotes, seamlessly embedding them. And that will come, 1, with knowing your text well, 2, with practice. All right, now we need to contrast, because this bit all up here, this is comparing them and showing how they're similar, which is the first part of my topic sentence. Now I need to tackle the second part, what separates them. So, although both protagonists make the decision to discard their identities, both have a choice, their circumstances are vastly different. We start again, we're going to go with our third piece of evidence and our third explanation, and this one is linked to First They Killed My Father. Lung's beliefs personality, and individuality are crushed when her family is ruthlessly torn apart at the hands of Pol Pot's regime. They, that should be, must all learn to be silent with their emotions. Now, I've used square brackets because it says our, but I want it to be separate from me and I want it to be there. So I've just inserted the word there with square brackets and the page reference. Their only option for survival is to abandon each other and create new identities for themselves. So I'm making it clear that they have no choice, really. So while they do, the only other choice is death. They can try to be different people and adopt a new identity, or they can die. That is really it. Whereas what I'm about to make my point with Christopher is that it didn't really have to be that way for him. So I'm using a contrasting phrase here. In contrast, McCandless makes the choice to reject the identity his parents gave him, renouncing, which means to give away, his claims to education, money, titles, and in turn create a new identity. And that identity, our evidence, is Alexander Supertramp. Possibly you could add in another quote, something about him burning the money, abandoning the car, something like that if you wanted there. Now I need to close off my paragraph and link it back to my topic sentence. Ultimately, McCandless's idealistic actions are taken because he is not powerless. He has the capacity to decide for himself what to do. On the other hand, so I'm making that contrast, a reminder at the end, Lung is a helpless child who must relinquish, means to give up, her identity without question. The consequences of not doing so would be fatal, and that means death. Now, those words that I've come up with, because I know some people are going to be going, I can't think of that. How would I know that? It's called a thesaurus and it is in your dictionary. So often I just have open while I'm working, I have my dictionary up and I click on the thesaurus section and I'm constantly just typing words in. And you can see right here, I had contrast there to look at. So that's how I would organize my paragraph. Now, there are other ways to do it. You could focus purely on, in say paragraph 1, you might just want to talk about what is similar in one way. And it might be, for example, what's this question? Let me go and have a look. What sacrifices? So you might just have to say they both have to sacrifice their families. And you might focus on families in that paragraph. And then another thing that they both have to sacrifice in order to survive, and that might be their dignity or something like that. They must give up, pride, and they just have to do anything or whatever it takes to survive. And then you could talk about what's different and you could focus on that. And again, you could do the same thing over here in 1 similarity and 2 differences. And that would be instead of comparing and contrasting in each paragraph. But if you're chasing that kind of A high B mark, you're going to be trying to do this, I would think. And I think this is a really savvy way to do it. And Miss Trotman showed me this. This isn't something I've been teaching, but I really quite like it. So well done to her. I'm just going to show you this, this way that I've spoken about here and how it could look with some sentence starters if you're having a bit of trouble. So compare the ways in which first they kill my father and into the wild show the importance of survival. So paragraph 1 will be focusing on a similarity. So in an equally profound way, both protagonists, that's the main characters, must fight to survive in the harsh and unforgiving environments in which they find themselves, overcoming similar challenges such as food deprivation and learning new skills to survive. Now, the reason I'm a big colour coordinator in my planning usually, but the reason there are 3 colors here, there are 3 different ideas I would talk about in this paragraph, and I've matched them down here so you can see. So first I'm going to talk about the landscape for Sean Penn's film Into the Wild and how McCandless finds himself there. Then I'm going to talk about Chris's food deprivation in that environment because it will naturally flow on. And I'm going to talk about how he had to learn new skills in order to deal with this. Then I'm going to compare them. I'm going to say like McCandless because I'm focusing purely in this paragraph on a similarity. And I'm going to say Lung finds herself in, and I'm going to talk about that landscape. Then I'm going to go, as with McCandless in the Alaskan wilderness, Lung must endure, and I'm going to talk about the food situation. And then finally, I'm going to talk about the new skills she would have, and I've got sentence starters here if this is a paragraph you'd like to have a go at. And finally, my linking sentence. And then I've got the following 2 slides are just some sentence or some topic sentences that you could also use for this prompt. So that is, loss is an emotion that is experienced by both protagonists. It shows their true personality and their will to survive. And these are the 3 things you would talk about in that paragraph. So again, where they're both similar in terms of loss, what they both lose, or sorry, the experience of loss, so it might cause them sadness, pain, etc. How it reveals their true personality, what they become like as a result of loss, and that might be determined, powerful, or whatever, and their will to survive, and that's quite connected to that one there. And then finally, if you want to do in your last paragraph, a difference. Family relationships play a significantly different role, for Christopher and Lung in their attempts to survive. And so Chris has a very difficult family relationship, and so he makes a new family relationship with Jan and Rainey. However, in Lung's case, she is constantly trying to hold on to her family, even though many times she can't, and has to kind of go it alone, as she does in the child labour camp with Chu. But that's a point of contrast, their family relationships. All right, a final disclaimer. This is a longer paragraph, the one that I showed you back here. This one is it's about 270 words, so that's a fair bit longer, but I just want to show you a very good lengthy one to see how all the parts fit together. And then it's especially longer than you would write in test conditions, but it is good to see a good example. Also, I didn't write it in 5 minutes. I took my time tonight. I've edited it and re-edited it, and I've improved my phrasing and word choices with my thesaurus and dictionary. You should be using yours or the one on your computer. If you have any questions about this, please see myself. I'm around all week, and Wednesdays to Friday are better for me. Mrs. Brown, Miss Trotman, or Miss Stevenson, we're more than happy to help you with this. We're also available on email, and you know what the emails are, and you can access them via the Google Classroom. Good luck, and I'm looking forward to seeing some writing examples by the end of this week, which is week 6. Thank you, Miss Brooks.